Good morning. I'm so happy to be with you on this Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. It has been a wild week. Yesterday we went to Carlsbad with our mold detection dog that we're training for a fantastic gentleman in the Temecula area, Brad. And the dog did its very first real-life mold search and had two alerts in both locations. Especially the first location identified a spot where mold was growing in the home. So that was fantastic. Dog's name is Agent 86, formerly known as Daisy. But we really had a really good day today. I had to drive to Temecula and then pick up the dog, and then went off to Carlsbad where we did the search. So really, really good day. We've got two therapy dogs. We got Morty, the mortuary dog. You haven't seen any updates, and I apologize for that, but Morty's been out and about with M. We've really been wanting to get that dog out into the environment to just really identify if there are any issues. Right now, he really seems to like other dogs, so and wants to play with them. And so just in the case that Morty is in the mortuary and somebody brings their dog along, we want to make sure and address some of those things. So Emlyn does those things, and next time I have to go with her and we'll go live. But I think in the next couple of days we're going to be doing some stuff here, teaching the dog a few minor tricks, and so we'll bring you on board when we're doing that. And then we have Noelle, who works in a dentist's office as a therapy dog. For people that come in that are a little bit anxious about having their teeth done, and she is a labradoodle, I think, a labradoodle, and I should have asked. She looks like more poodle than labradoodle, and so I'll just confirm that. But definitely, you'll see, and I'll just confirm that she is not mostly poodle. You would think that I would know, being in the dog business for 30 years, but I've not been around a lot of poodles, and so. And so she may have a high, there's different numbers that they use to grade the different labradoodles, and so she may be on the high end of the poodle side of things, because she looks more like a poodle to me than a labradoodle. All right, so those are some of the things that are going on, in addition to just, you name it, just stuff happening all over the place. With the Kuwaiti dogs, no more dogs that I think this week have been brought to the United States, but I know that things are still going well over there in Kuwait. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today are, we have a story, and we're going to start with a little bit of a sad story, but in the end it's a kind of a good story, so we're going to do one of those again. I know I did one of those last week. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Andy Falco Jimenez. I own Falco Canine Academy and the Healthy Dog Network, where we are bringing you information regarding dogs in the news. And today in particular, we're going to talk about a couple products that I found over there at Super Zoo that I really want to point out. Now, I did some interviews with them. You're going to be able to scroll down on our Facebook page and find the interviews of the two products I'm going to have. But I want to let you know now, because then I'm just interviewing them, right? Here, I'm actually began using the products, and I'm going to give you my feedback on at least the two of the products that I interviewed, and their dog food and a way of keeping some of the pests out of your backyard. And so we'll talk about those towards the end, after I read you the stories, and take care of that stuff. Make sure and let us know that what you want us to talk about. If you like the training that I did last week, make sure and mention it in the comment section. Say, you know what, I really liked it when you taught a little bit about obedience, or whatever it is. We like more of the stories, or we like more of the product reviews, or you just like that we mix it up every so often and bring new stuff in. Whatever that is, I really would appreciate your comments down there in the comment section. So make sure and let me know what it is that you like and don't like. And yeah, tell me what you don't like. If you like it when we are in the studio only, because I can share my screen, let me know that. If you like it when we're remote and doing some of those things, again, just give me your comments and let me know what it is that you like and don't like. That would be fantastic. Make sure and subscribe if this is your first time here. That way you get notified when we are doing the show. Sometimes the week gets so busy I don't put up the post reminding people that our show is on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. So you want to make sure and subscribe. That way you get notified. And if you're available, maybe you're driving and you can plug it in and, to your radio and listen to it as you're driving. That would be fantastic, because I promise you, whatever it is that we do, we're going to bring you information that is helpful to you and your dog. The next thing is you want to share with your friends and your families that have dogs, that are interested in dogs. That way they can get in on it and again, tell us what we want. We want to make sure the show is for you. We got a couple shows we're working on with a major network. I think I've told you that before. One of them is going to need dogs and handlers for the reality show that's going to be new every week. We changed it because we're going to start with the same amount of dogs, and then as each episode went on, we were going to eliminate one dog. But now we've changed the format, and now there's going to be a new set of handler and dogs on every episode. So you're going to make sure, and if you think your dog can be trained to be a detection dog, and you want to, actually, at least on the show, perform duties as a narcotics detection dog handler, bomb dog handler, search and rescue handler, the show is going to be for you. So stay tuned for that. Just keep watching the show, and we will put up another link as to where you can apply to be on the show, to be on the cast. And that will be coming up soon. We have another meeting this week coming up. And so it's moving forward. They keep asking for new creatives, and so we keep recreating the creatives. Does that make sense? We keep redoing stuff, and so at some point we will start filming, and we will start getting people cast for the show. So stay tuned for that. All right, let's go to my screen here. I'm going to bring you our first story, and like I said, it's not necessarily a happy one on one end, but a really happy on the other. And so, unfortunately, a dog died, but saving an 8-month-old baby from a house fire in Baltimore. You may have heard about this one. You may have seen it on Facebook. If not, there's the baby, and there's the dog. Looks like a little cockapoo, possibly. And what happened is that, let's read the story here. A family dog died protecting an 8-month-old baby after a house fire late Sunday. Vivian Poremski is in serious condition with burns across her body after she was trapped in her home or in her house while her mother stepped out to the car, according to ABC 13. This comes to us from the Daily. Sorry, I just want to make sure and give them credit. Daily News. So this is from the Daily News, and so. This is the mom speaking. I just heard her crying and I couldn't get to her, Mom Erica Promoski said, told the TV station. I tried really hard. Everyone in the neighborhood tried. They were kicking the doors in and kicking the windows out. I couldn't get her out. Nobody could. Firefighters entered the second floor and found Polo, the dog, covering Viviana with his body. She only had burns on her sides because of it. She told the TV station. He stayed with her the whole time in the bedroom and wouldn't even move or wouldn't even come downstairs to get out of the door. And there's the house. There's the house fire. How quickly a house. Now, it just goes up so fast. I was a police officer, as many of you know, with Anaheim Police Department. And, of course, we often have to respond to fires for either because we're there first because the firemen have to get dressed, slide down their pole, get into the truck, and drive to the fire. And we're often just already out in the street because that's what cops do. All right, there's a little thing about firemen and cops. But we would often arrive on fires really fast. And I would be so amazed about how a small fire, say, in the kitchen would engulf the entire house, how quickly that would move. I found myself on the roof one time kind of watering down the roof and not knowing any better again. I was only like 26 maybe, thinking that I was going to be able to do something. Literally, I know the entire attic was on fire, and at any moment I could have been sucked into the house and fell in there. But that's how fast, right? We were. There was a couple things up on the roof, had the hose, and was trying to get to a couple things and trying to keep it, manageable, I guess, until the firemen arrive and they go, "What are you doing, idiot? You're a cop. You're not a fireman. Get off that roof." But it moves so quickly, and so you can see because at first you're thinking, what do you mean? The mom went to the car. Things happen so rapidly and so fast in regard to a fire. I mean, we just look out here in the mountains right near us through the Cajon Pass. That took out something like 30,000 acres within a 24-hour period. It just moved so quickly. But back to the dog story about this, that this dog just like hunkered down on top of this 8-month-old child. Now, this isn't like the child pulled the dog over on top of her. She did not do that. The dog did it on its own. And we had this discussion a couple episodes ago with my other trainer. Gina was saying, and I were saying that, how much of it is this the dog just reacting as a dog, and how much is the dog actually thinking, I got to save this human being? We don't know. But in this case, thank God the dog covered the child, because the child would have burns covering its entire body and would not have survived, because the skin, being one of the organs, gets that damaged. It's just hard for the body to function, and especially an 8-month-old baby, the baby would not have survived. So thank God that dog was in there. Thank God the dog decided to lay on top of her. Why it decided to do that? Did it really think that it was going to be saving the child by doing so? Who knows? Or if it's just like comfort, they just needed each other at that moment because they were so frightened. But the dog, being a domesticated animal, that they love human beings, that they want to be with their human beings, and for whatever reason had a connection with this kid at that time, is just a miracle. And thank God that dog was there on that particular day and saved that 8-month-old child. Now, I guess there is some concern about the child's survival, but the child at least has a chance because of what that dog did. And regardless of what you think of, if it did it on, because it was thinking about it, or it did it on its own, not really that important. It's just the fact that the dog did it and the child is alive. So just hug your dog today, and just be thankful that these dogs have been domesticated and they're in our lives, and just make sure you take care of them and do what's best for your dog. All right, let's go to the next article. This one is Take Your Dog to Work Day. And the reason I bring this up is because there's some controversy, and I heard some radio station personalities that we have here at KFI. And who is this from? This is from headspace.com. So they were talking how silly it is. They were talking about dogs being brought on planes. People want service dogs to come along with them, or therapy dogs, because they have emotional problems, and these are emotional therapy dogs and that kind of stuff. And they were making fun of people that bring their dogs on the planes and that kind of thing. Well, I got to say that I think bringing a dog or having a dog in the work environment is a very positive thing. And I'm not a very touchy-feely, tree-hugging kind of person. I kind of scoff at some things and kind of make fun of some other things and that kind of stuff. But I really do think, because I know how therapeutic dogs are through the studies that they have done throughout the universities here in the United States and in Canada, and have proven that dogs actually reduce blood pressure, that dogs actually reduce the stress in people, and that sometimes the work environment can become stressful, especially to the business owner. And I really like this article, and we'll just read a little bit of it. I don't want to read the whole thing, but it just brings up a really good point. So Elizabeth is the author of this particular article. And she writes, over the last 6 years, my dog Pip has accompanied me on many job-related outings, working at the office, guarding my record bag. I wonder what that, oh, she's a DJ. She does DJ gigs. Panting in the background while I record my radio show in the studio and on planes, trains, and automobiles. This year is the 20th anniversary for Take Your Dog to Work Day, which began in 1996 in the UK and 1998 in the United States. Before I started working as a full-time freelancer, I was lucky to have worked in offices where dogs were allowed. I live in Berlin, Germany, a city that is extremely dog-friendly. Not only are dogs welcome virtually everywhere here, but they're considered official co-workers in many offices. Dogs are allowed to accompany their owners and on trains and buses with a ticket and a muzzle. And there are plentiful green spaces with dog runs. Many of the cafes and restaurants even supply water bowls for the furry patrons. Because of these freedoms, dogs here are very well trained. There are plenty of dog training schools in the city to ensure the meals and meetings alike go interrupted by barks or bites. And then she goes on. But I just wanted to read that about that in Berlin, and I've been to Germany, and they are very dog friendly. I think even up in Northern California, where I've been in many cafes, there's always dogs, on the patio part and that kind of stuff. Here we have a restaurant called, oh shoot, what's the name of that restaurant? Somebody help me. Not Lucky Dog. Oh man, I forgot the name of the restaurant. I've been there 100 times. It'll come to me, and I can't see my Facebook chat, so I know somebody's probably yelling at me. Right? Whatever they're writing, if it's probably Sally reminding me, because we met there for lunch not too long ago. Anyway, they allow dogs on the patio, and they have dog bowls and that kind of stuff. Not as important as the dog being at the restaurants is the dogs being at work. and then dogs traveling with people who have anxiety. And I just don't agree necessarily. John and Ken is the name of the radio station or radio show here on KFI, and one of them was just like, "Oh, these people are just who needs a freaking dog?" and just going on. And you know what? I got to tell you, there are some people that, for whatever reason, are completely put at ease and relaxed because of their dog's present. And who am I to judge if they have that much anxiety? And I got to tell you, I'll share with you that I've had a couple major traffic accidents as a police officer, and one of those actually caused me to retire. And with the concussions that I got, I also played hockey, and I also pole vaulted and played football. And so the concussions that build up over a period of time, and then those car accidents, and we've seen it and heard about it in football players and in hockey players, causes anxiety and stress, and there are days when you think you're just going to die and you can't explain why. Your heart's pounding out of your chest and you just think, I'm going to have a heart attack. And you're having anxiety attacks and that kind of stuff. And the good news is that I was able to get over it, but I just recall there were these times where I was able to be with my police dog, and that seemed to make the difference to me. So I cannot say that people are being foolish or oversensitive or whatever it is that you want to think. You think there are some times where a dog is the only solution, because medications can cause things to happen. I was speaking to the lady that we were doing the mold search for, and the medications actually caused other problems on top of what it was supposed to be, not on top of, but instead it would cure the thing, like the anxiety she was feeling, but then it would create a whole series of other problems, right? And so you have these medications that they're fixing one thing, but creating an entirely different problem with either bowel movements or you can't stay awake because now you're sleeping all the time because you're taking things that calm you down, and you have all these other things that are starting to happen where a dog does not do that. That's my point. Where the dog does not do that. Having the dog with you or with a person that has anxiety, and that dog is the solution for that anxiety, what side effects is it other than maybe the person next to you doesn't like dogs? And then they could just move, right? Or they can ask you to move, and you would be courteous enough. And that's one of the things that I teach my service dog people and therapy dog people, that when you have a service dog or a therapy dog, you have to understand that there's going to be people that don't like dogs. There's going to be restaurant owners that don't want your dog in the restaurant, even though it's illegal to not accept somebody with a dog as far as a customer, or not renting to them, or whatever those things are. You have to, at some level, understand that it may be just better to go to a different restaurant. Now, I have people that will argue with me and say, no, they are not supposed to kick us out, and we have a right, and blah blah blah, and the whatever the law is. I know sometimes the law off the top of my head, but if I can't think of the name of that restaurant, then I can't think of the name of the numbers related to that law. But there are laws that dictate that when somebody has a certified service dog, you cannot ask what's going on with them for the reasons why they need the dog, right? But I understand that. But if we're going to keep this ability, if we're going to maintain the the potential for you to be able to bring dogs on planes and trains, and you're going to be able to bring them in the restaurants, you don't want to cause all these battles because then it ruins what it is that's been created. There's allowances. 90% of the time you're going to be able to bring your dog to work. You're going to be able to bring your dog on a plane or into a restaurant. And it's those 10% times that maybe it's just best to say, okay, fine, you don't want dogs in here. I'm going to go and eat somewhere else, or I'm going to use another airline, or I'm going to do something else, right? And not always cause all the anger and the frustration and the battles and the court issues and that kind of stuff. When I met my wife, she was raising dogs for Guide Dogs of America, and we ran into that problem because she wanted to take her dog up into Big Bear, into a location up there, and they said no. And she got all in their face, kind of, and wanted to get in all in their face. Let's put it that way. I don't think she really actually. She said, "I'm going to go back there," and I said, "Listen, it's just let's just go somewhere else." And it's not that I don't like conflict. Being a police officer, I'd often run into conflict, right? Run towards conflict, but we have to pick our battles. I guess that's the bigger thing. So when it comes to taking your dog to work, I think it's a great idea. If your boss doesn't like it, Maybe you can negotiate with them, and maybe not every day, maybe it's once a week or something like that. But I think, to all your bosses out there, I think that you can actually get more productivity if there's a dog there for somebody that has these, that feeling that the dog just makes them feel a little bit better. When somebody's a little bit more positive, they work a little bit better, and then maybe the rest of the people just really like the dog being around, and it just brings up the environment a little bit. Wow, I went on for a really long time with that one. All right, I know Carlene, who watches this, my assistant, is yelling at me going, move on, move on. All right, let's go to the next story here. Which one is it? I got to find it here. Hold on, I clicked on the wrong thing. All right, now this is a really interesting one, and I'm going to bring up another thing that's probably going to go on forever. But this story is a dog was wearing a GoPro and was out in the forest. This is the story, right? And so they put the GoPro on the dog, and the dog is out there in the forest, and lo and behold, out in the distance, Bigfoot appears and runs across the path that the dog and the human being are walking. And they actually caught it on video. And I don't know if it's real or not. I'm going to actually play the video. I know Facebook Live doesn't like us playing videos, but I'm going to play the video and narrate. So I'm going to maintain being live here, and I'm hoping that you guys can see the full screen. I don't know if this is actually working or not, but we're going to play it anyway. And there is some music there, so some scary music. Here's the dog walking down the path. And out in the distance, you're going to see Bigfoot suddenly appear. If you can't see this, I'm going to go back and I'm going to play it small. There's Bigfoot. Slow down and zoomed in so you can get a better look at Bigfoot.